Hey, it's Ethan here at etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Konig XB16 assisted tensioning snow tire chains on our 2021 Volkswagen Atlas. This is going to be on tire size 255, 50, or 20. Also, we have them on the front axle. Make sure you check the fit guide to get the right fit chains for your tire, as well as make sure you check the owner's manual to make sure you're putting them on the right axle. So if you live in an area that gets a decent amount of moderate weather, whether that be moderate snow or maybe even some light ice, these chains are going to be a really solid option for you. They do have that diamond pattern that I talked about earlier, which basically means you get that coverage on your tire. It really helps you a lot getting that grip when you're turning. You're not going to feel them as much starting and stopping or in general compared to a ladder pattern style chain, which are a little bit heavier, but these again will give you that coverage on turns. These chains are pretty low profile. They're not technically Class S compatible, so they don't meet that standard. And with the Atlas, the strut right here for your suspension does come very, very close to the chains, so that's something you're going to want to be mindful of. That being said, it's hard to get much lower profile than these unless you're looking at a different set of Konig chains, like maybe the XG12 Pros. That being said, the links are square, so they are going to help you get that grip into that snow and ice that I mentioned, and they go in that diamond pattern. You can see a little closer from here. They're also made of a manganese nickel alloy, which is going to hold up well to rust, weather, and corrosion versus maybe your low carbon steel chains. On the inside of the chains, you can see that they are quite a different color. These have a nice powder coat finish, which is going to protect not only your rims in the event that they make contact there, but also protect your hands if you're trying to get these installed and it's really cold out. Your hands aren't going to stick as easily to these, but if you are out in the cold, we always recommend finding a pair of gloves if you have those in your car just to protect your hands, as well as the assisted tensioning cable here. It does go across, so it's got that nice rubberized material as well as that powder coat finish, so if it does make contact, you're not damaging anything there. It's just in place to get a little bit more tension into your tires and keep it there. The chains do come two to a set and this hard protective outer shell. It's a really nice case, it's really compact. It's going to keep the chains nice and secure inside there. If we open it up, you can see on the inside you have your instructions as well as a couple of parts just in case things break or go missing. You can see the other set of chains in there too. Again, really compact, stored really nice and snug inside the case. We'll close it up, and on the back here you can also see that there is just a hook and loop patch. In the event that your car's interior has material that will stick to, it'll help prevent it from sliding around too much while it's in the back. So that's the case that they come in. When installing the chains, the first thing we like to do is to lay them out flat. We just want to make sure that nothing is caught up or twisted or tangled, especially with these hooks and this really long assisted tensioning cable. It tends to get wrapped around things. We also want to make sure that we have this gap here for the center where our tire is going to go, and we want to make sure that the chains are facing the right way. We look at these hoops at the back of our chains. We want to make sure that this flat side is facing up. That's the side that's going to make contact with the tread of the tire. We don't want these hooks making contact. So from there, we'll center everything up and we'll feed one half around the back of our tire. I like to do the side that doesn't have the assisted tensioning cable because it is so long and it does tend to get stuck so easily. And then we'll try our best to find that gap that we created for ourselves earlier and just feed everything through before we make our first connection on the back side. We'll grab one of each end and feed them around the back of our tire. To make our first connection, we'll just fit this metal stud right here into that catch on the other side, and then we'll feed our chains around our tire, just trying to get everything spaced out as evenly as we can. Things might tend to rotate and get stuck a little bit, but just the process. And then we'll start our next connection, fit this red hook into this red loose link, and then we can move everything around again, just kind of adjusting as we go before we come down to the bottom for our final connection, which is just going to be that assisted tensioning cable. We're going to feed that through. Just catch it down here at the bottom, and you'll hear it clicking back as we get as much tension into the chains as we can, and that's where these hooks come into play now. Feed them around as many as we can to make a really tight fit. So in our case, it looks like one is actually going to be enough. You're going to have to pull this pretty hard to get it there. You want to make sure that this hook is facing away from the tire as well. And there you go. With that, the chains are installed. Just make sure you get them on your passenger side tire as well. Roll forward or backwards a few times just to make sure that everything is secure. Then you're ready to go. Overall, again, if you do live in an area that gets the weather that I talked about a little bit earlier, that moderate snow and maybe some light ice, and you need chains that are going to hold up to that, I think these are a really great option. I like the fact that that assisted tensioning is built right in. They're super easy to install, and they are low profile enough that I think that they'll work, but they again do come kind of close. So if you're super worried about that wheel well clearance and maybe you don't need the chains used that often, there are roller style chains that get you a lot less coverage. They're not going to last as long, but if you're just kind of an emergency case only scenario, you can check out some of those. Or the XG12 Pros that I mentioned earlier, also from Konig. Similar, but they're a little bit more low profile. But if you're not super worried about that clearance and you like the way that these install and the way they hold up, I think that these are a great option. That right there was just a quick look at the Konig XB16 and how they fit on a 2021 Volkswagen Atlas.